Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to welcome you again, dear viewers, to Discover Islam, the English language Islamic chat show on Sharjah TV, and incidentally, the longest running English language Islamic show on TV. Our guest this week, Youcef Sai. Salamualeikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You know that the basic human rights from the rulers are that we're freed from hunger and fear, as it says in Lilafi Quraysh, Al-Quraysh. There's more to it than that, isn't it? I mean, when we come onto the subject of rights and duties, it's an immense subject that's almost a scholarly treatise by itself.
It's true, yeah. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Like you said, this issue of rights and human rights and giving one his right or her right is a very topical subject or topical discussion nowadays. It seems to be, you know, it seems that Islam is taking quite a battering in the media when it comes to this right issue. However, hopefully we'll try in the next 40 minutes or so to break it down in a kind of a summary type style into the various, if you like, ways in which Islam gives rights not only to human beings but also to plants and even things which are intangible as well as tangible. When we look at the word right in Islam, Arabic word for it is al-haq or haq, and it can mean two things. It can mean right, it also means the truth, and we know that one of Allah's names is al-haq, is the truth. The Prophet ﷺ said that in a hadith which is authentic, that he said, أَعْطِي كُلِّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ, give everything its true right, in other words. And in Islam, alhamdulillah, we find that in this religion nothing has been left for the human being to come up with or to strive hard in order to deduce through. Everything has been put on a plate for him. All he needs to do is to endeavour a little bit and to find these things. We find that the religion of Islam has been preserved, and Allah has preserved this religion. Allah says in the Quran, "Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam," that the religion of God is Islam. وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. And if anyone decides or desires a religion other than Islam, it will never be accepted from him. وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. And he will be amongst the losers on the Day of Judgment. So we find that the religion of Islam is the only religion which will be accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, having said all that, we find that certainly in the secular world that there's exaggeration of what human beings deserve in terms of their rights. Now, with rights come responsibilities, and we should never talk about one without talking about the other. And certainly when we're talking about rights as a general concept, we need to always talk about the rights of Allah Azza wa Jal, that He is the creator and He is the sustainer. And Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, which is the Tawheed that we believe that Allah, He is the creator, He is the sustainer, giver and taker of life, that essentially He is the one who is deserving of worship. وَمَا خَلَقَتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And we haven't created the jinn or the mankind except to worship me. So Allah is right over His creation, and He's created this planet for our benefit, is that we worship Him and we obey Him. Having said that, it's not just the fact that we're worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, but what comes with that. It gives all human beings are on level pegging. There's no gender differentiation when it comes to worshipping the Creator. There's no race differentiation. Everybody worships Allah Azza wa Jal equally, and what Allah has prescribed for the men, He's prescribed for the women. And it's Allah's right that we worship Him. He deserves that worship. He's given us so many bounties, and we deserve to worship Him.
You know, in the Quran, Youcef, it says things like about the birds, you know, with their wings outstretched, the rough translation, that each one has its mode of praise. Is that, are we to understand that the other living creatures praise Allah too?
It's true. They are. There is hadiths, and there are various narrations that do confirm that. Of course, that some of the sounds of various animals are, for example, there's an authentic hadith that the Prophet ﷺ forbid killing of frogs because their sound is like a tasbih, it's like glorifying Allah Azza wa Jal. So there are examples of that. But just to go back onto the issue of worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal, and of course, with the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, as the things that He's prescribed for us in the obligatory acts, such as praying 5 times a day. Praying 5 times a day not only brings us closer to Allah, but it should stop us from doing bad deeds. And that's what Allah says, that inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. It stops from you doing bad deeds and evil deeds. So as a social benefit, it stops you from committing things which will harm other people, not only yourself but other people. There's an immediate benefit there on the social scale. You find that things like, for example, the zakah, the charity which is taken from the surplus money over a period of 1 year, that amount which exceeds the nisab, which is called in Arabic, which is the limit, anything above that, the money is taken, zakah is taken from it. We find that it's not just purification of your money, but it's giving it to the poor. And the poor, they have the right, as we know. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَفِي أَمْوَالِكُمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. In Surah Al-Dhariyat, Allah says, and in your money is a right for the poor people and those people who have been deprived.
They have a right to a portion of it.
Of course, they must have. And this money as well, it reduces the kind of, you know, the social scale or the status between rich and poor. The poor people will not feel as much hasad or jealousy or envy towards people who have got money, because they're taking a share from it. And the same way it protects the people who give zakah, it protects them from stinginess and niggardliness and so on. Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَمَن يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And whoever protects himself from miserliness, then he is amongst the successful ones. So we find that the zakah has so many beautiful qualities that come from it. As well as that, we find that even in our types of ibadah, types of worship, some are very much bodily operations, if you like, physical, and others are financial, and you find some are a combination of both. As an example, the prayers are very much ibadah badaniya, it's a bodily ibadah, worship, whereas zakah is primarily just financial. And then you have the hajj, which is a combination of both. So Allah Azza wa Jal, in the variety of the worship, okay, tests his creation, but different fruits come from those different types of worship. And we find that, as well as that, that the ibadah, when our health, and this is the right that the human being, this is one of the rights actually I want to speak about primarily, is the right that Allah has given us, or the right over our bodies, that we have to preserve our bodies. We should give it the food which Allah has prescribed for us, and we shouldn't put things which are going to cause it any harm, because you cannot do your ibadah if your body is not functioning the way it should function. And we know that in situations where if you're sick and things like that, then it's hard to do the movements and things of that nature.
There's even a stipulation, isn't there, that if you have some illness or some situation, some physical deformity that stops you praying normal way, you can make up for it.
If you cannot stand and sit.
We've had sometimes old people become Muslims, 70 something,